team member walks into your office and says, "We have a problem. What should I do?" What happens next? If you immediately give them the answer, you may solve the problem faster, but you've also missed an opportunity to help that person become a better problem solver. So the next time someone asks, "What should I do?" try responding with 3 numbers. 1, 3, 1. 1 problem, 3 possible solutions, and 1 recommendation. It's a simple exercise that can turn everyday problems into opportunities to develop your team. And today, I'm going to show you how it works, but more importantly, how to put it into practice with your team. Let's get started.
This is The Rare Advisor, a show for financial advisors who want to build and grow their practice through the use of a business model supercharged by recurring and repeatable events. The Rare Advisor is brought to you by the Advisor Protocol Consulting Team at USA Financial.
Welcome back to the Rare Advisor podcast, where we explore the recurring and repeatable activities that help financial advisors build stronger, more valuable, and more sustainable firms. I'm your host, Grady, and in a recent leadership series, we talked about creating greater ownership, developing your people, and building future leaders inside of your firm. Today, I want to zoom in on one practical exercise that can help you begin putting those ideas into practice. It's called the 1-3-1 exercise. It gives you a simple way to stop automatically solving every problem for your team and start using those problems to help them develop better thinking, stronger judgment, and greater ownership. If you're like most advisors, you probably didn't receive formal leadership training before you began building a team. Instead, you built your business by being resourceful, making decisions, and solving problems. And those abilities helped you become successful. But as your firm grows, those same strengths can create an unintended problem. Whenever a team member encounters an obstacle, they bring it to you. You, as the leader, see the answer, make the decision, and send them back to work. In the moment, this feels efficient. But if you repeat this pattern often enough, the team learns something. They learn, when I encounter a problem, my job is simply to bring it to the advisor. They don't necessarily learn how to analyze it, evaluate alternatives, or make recommendations. Over time, you become the firm's default answer machine. The team remains dependent, and you become the bottleneck. The 1-3-1 exercise changes the pattern, and here's how it works. When a team member brings you a problem, ask them to bring you 3 things. 1 clearly defined problem, 3 possible solutions, and 1 recommended course of action. That's 1 problem, 3 possible solutions, and 1 recommendation. Let's break this down. The first step is to define the actual problem. And this is more important than it may actually sound, because people often bring leaders symptoms, frustrations, or several interconnected issues, but not 1 clearly defined problem. For example, our review meeting process isn't working. That's probably too broad for what we're trying to accomplish. A clearer problem might be review meeting preparation is frequently being completed the morning of the meeting because no one has clear ownership of the final preparation checklist. Now you have something specific enough to solve. A useful question for you to use when you're doing this exercise is this: what is the 1 problem we're actually trying to solve? The answer alone can improve the quality of the conversation. Next, ask the team member to identify 3 possible solutions. Now, you may ask, why specifically 3? And the simple answer is that because the first solution is simply the most obvious one oftentimes. Because 3 possibilities forces the person to slow down, think more broadly, and consider different trade-offs. Using our review meeting example, the team member might suggest option 1 being assign the entire preparation checklist to 1 person. Option 2, divide the checklist by role and create clear deadlines for each step. Or 3, add a brief meeting 48 hours beforehand to confirm the preparation is complete. Look, the solution doesn't need to be perfect. The objective is to teach the team member to move from identifying a problem to exploring possible answers. Then comes the final and perhaps the most important step. Ask this question. Which option do you recommend and why? This is important. Don't make the team member present 3 ideas to you and then immediately hand the decision back to you to make. Ask them to evaluate the choices, consider the consequences, and recommend a path forward. For example, they may recommend dividing the checklist by role because it creates clearer accountability without adding another meeting. Now, you can coach their thinking. You might approve the recommendation. You might modify it. You might ask a few questions that reveal something that they hadn't considered, or the conversation may produce a fourth and better solution. But here's the thing. Either way, the team member has participated in the thinking, not merely delivered the problem. The immediate benefit is this. It creates better problem solving. But the long-term benefit is leadership development. The 1-3-1 exercises teaches team members how to clearly define issues, think beyond the first available answer, evaluate alternatives and trade-offs, make a recommendation, and take greater ownership of the outcome. It also gives you insight into how each team member thinks. And that information is going to help you identify when someone's ready for more decision-making authority and whether they may still need additional coaching or more context. Over time, you may even reach the pinnacle of this exercise at a point where a team member brings you their 1-3-1, and your response is simply this: I agree. Go execute it. That's how decision-making capacity begins to expand beyond the lead advisor. But here's a necessary word of caution. The 1-3-1 exercise should be a coaching tool, not a barrier to communication. You don't want a team member withholding urgent client, compliance, cybersecurity, money movement, personal concerns because they haven't developed their 3 possible solutions. Some problems need to be escalated immediately, and newer team members may initially need your help generating the options. The goal is not to say, don't bring me any problems. The goal is to say, when appropriate, and that's the key word, when appropriate, let's use problems as an opportunity to strengthen how you think. And that distinction matters. So here's my challenge for you. At your next team meeting, I want you to introduce the 1-3-1 exercise. Explain to your team that when someone encounters a non-urgent problem, you want them to think through 1 clearly defined problem, 3 possible solutions, and 1 recommendation, including why they believe it's the best option. Then, the next time someone asks, what should I do? Resist the urge to immediately provide the answer. Instead, ask these questions. What do you think we should do? What other options should we consider? And finally, which one do you recommend? Because one of the most important responsibilities of a leader is not simply solving problems. It's developing more people who are capable of solving them. The 1-3-1 exercise is not going to eliminate every problem inside your firm, but it can change what happens when those problems appear. Instead of every issue creating more dependency on you, the advisor, each one becomes an opportunity to build judgment, ownership, and leadership throughout your team. Thank you again for joining me for another episode of the Rare Advisor Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please like, subscribe, and share with another advisor who may be working to develop a stronger and more independent team. And as always, remember, when the why is clear, the how becomes easy, so never lose sight of your why.
This information is for licensed financial professionals only and is not intended for use in soliciting sales from the public. The views expressed represent the opinions of the presenter or their featured guest, not necessarily those of USA Financial or its affiliated subsidiaries. Industry references are generic and not intended to represent actions or beliefs of any individual or entity. Content is only presented to illustrate general principles, beliefs, or ideas and should not be construed as legal or regulatory advice. Trademark and copyright protected. USA Financial and Affiliates.